Among all the major cities of this nation, the title of the city that works rightly belongs to the city of Chicago. And that is not happenstance or luck. Yes, it's a tribute to Mayor Daley, but it's also the result of stalwart and dedicated public officials such as our guest here today. Our guest today has a superb record. He has amassed over 20 years of City of Chicago infrastructure management, planning, and financial experience. He started his career with the City of Chicago in 1983 as a planner in the Department of Public Works, moving up to the Office of Planning and Management in 1987, where he subsequently was promoted to Deputy Budget Director of Infrastructure. Our guest also is the city's first Commissioner of Water Management. He was appointed to lead this newly created department following the merger of the Department of Water with the Department of Sewers earlier this year. Our guest today has a bachelor's degree from Elmhurst College and a master's degree from the Illinois Institute of Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Commissioner of Water Management, Rick Rice. Commissioner? It's all yours.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Dr. Green. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out here this morning to hear a little bit about where we are with the Department of Water Management. A lot has happened since I spoke to the City Club a few years ago. Obviously, we had a horrible experience with September 11th, 2001. This is the first time also I'm speaking to you as the Commissioner of the new Department of Water and Management. Basically, it's the old Department of Water and the old Department of Sewers merging together. It's also the first time I'm talking to you, obviously, with the recent events that happened out east with the blackout. So I want to touch base a little bit on that subject as well. The attacks of September 11th, 2001 changed everything, and the changes have been nowhere more apparent than with our department. In the time since September 11th, we have bolstered security at our purification plants, our cribs, and our pumping stations. We have made countless moves to ensure the integrity of our water system. And the effort continues. Every day we're adding to our security arrangements from our source water in Lake Michigan and throughout our distribution system, and obviously back through our sewer system as well. We have established full partnership with federal and local agencies, emergency management agencies, and have developed our own emergency management plan. We participated in the well-known Top Off 2 exercise. This was a national exercise for security. It was designed to test and improve our responses to actual emergencies. Without going into detail, I can tell you Chicago did very well in this exercise. We are monitoring the quality of our water from source to destination. We have the latest equipment, and our laboratories are devoted to this effort. We have confidence in the water we purify and its delivery to your home and businesses. More recently, we have faced up to the prospect of a large-scale blackout, like the one that happened on the East Coast. We had to answer one question: are we ready for something like that? And I'm happy to report that we are. A few years ago, we began to deploy backup generators throughout our system. And we also have a number of pumping stations that run also on natural gas and heating oil as a backup. We would certainly have some pressure problems throughout the system, but we would not even be close to the problems that we saw in the communities in the Midwest and on the East Coast. In summary then, we're proud of our accomplishments in these areas of security and backup systems. We have taken a leadership position among utilities nationwide and are working every day to increase our preparedness. Now on to the merger. As you know, the Chicago City Council voted to merge the old Departments of Water and Sewers into the Department of Water Management. This makes sense from the standpoint of efficiency and coordination. It also makes sense to have one city department managing its entire water cycle. It presents us with big challenges, but also big opportunities. I'm able to tell you we have begun to cross-train our crews so that we can solve problems on the spot rather than having to summon personnel from other areas. This saves time and money. We are coordinating our capital improvement projects, so we're only opening the streets once for water and sewer work. This again saves time and money and aggravation. We're working with our unions and bureaus to resolve merger questions in a sure-footed and agreeable way. We are very well aware that we are building a new department that needs solid foundations and relationships that will work in both the near and long terms. But even as we take a deliberate pace with some labor issues, we are achieving real and immediate savings. At this hour, a number of administrative employees from the Jardine plant are meeting with their new colleagues at the offices of the DePaul Center. We're finding new ways of saving money from personnel to inventory, and we're moving forward. I can tell you, when it comes to our infrastructure, we're also making important strides in modernizing our facilities. We have recently completed the conversion of our Roseland pumping station from steam to electric power. We are changing out switchgear. We have a switchgear project at our southwest pumping station, and we're providing also permanent backup generators there. In the street, we're replacing 50 miles of water main each year, cutting down on water waste and on the manpower commitment involved in repairing old mains. At our present rate, we're on an 86-year replacement cycle, fully 14 years ahead of the national average. And the quality of our water is well above the national average. Just recently, the National Resources Defense Council rated Chicago water as excellent. The only city among 19 cities that were studied to get this rating. I'm proud to say that we have been receiving awards for engineering and other activities. I won't recite them all, but some of you in this room have played important roles in this aspect, and we're very grateful. In sewers, we're rebuilding and renewing. We're using important new technology to reduce the disruption this work can cause. We're using so-called trenchless technology to line our sewers with permanent resin. Instead of ripping up streets, we're able to create a pipe within a pipe at a fraction of the cost, and it also saves time. The most striking example of this is our Sheridan Road relining project. We were able to line a 7-foot sewer between Devon and Thorndale in just a few months and spare the neighbors 2 years of dusty construction. Wherever appropriate, we are lining sewers and water mains to extend their lives by a century, avoiding the disruption of complete disassembly and reconstruction. The Sheridan Road project was notable for another reason. We are breaking new ground in public communications on our projects. Instead of one-sheet notices, we often hand out full packages of information, including street histories and frequently asked questions. We are holding more meetings with business people and residents. We're bringing school children out to our work sites and making water main projects into science projects and career days. We are recognizing that we become neighbors. We are recognizing that we must act as good neighbors on the work site. What we do above ground in our neighborhoods is just as important as what we do in the ground. The result is not only goodwill during the project, but improved rapport between public and private sectors on into the future. We have even taken to something as simple as offering coffee and donuts to our neighbors working at the sites. Later, when problems arise, everybody knows each other out on the street, and we seem to be very successful in solving problems, and the neighbors have been very grateful that we've been communicating with them. This commitment to our role as neighbors is good preparation for the latest job we are undertaking, to advance Mayor Daley's Chicago Water Agenda. This is a comprehensive grouping of initiatives and policies ranging from water conservation to stormwater management, from education to legislation and regulation, from neighborhoods to the entire Great Lakes region. Chicago is assuming a leadership position, leading by example and by sharing resources with anyone willing to join us in this effort. And this is also a multi-departmental effort, because the Chicago Park District, the Chicago Department of Environment, Chicago Department of Transportation is also involved in this effort. With water conservation, we are committed to making sure this resource is used wisely and well. While Lake Michigan may seem vast, we are only entitled to a finite amount of water, and we are serving the industrial and residential needs of a big city and 124 suburbs. We need to conserve. This means water audits at home and at work, and we will help everyone and any business that is interested in finding out more about the agenda. Please call me. Stormwater management is a major problem, as anyone with a flooded basement can tell you. We are encouraging that the use of green design, disconnected downspouts, permeable alleys, and other methods of directing stormwater into the earth rather than routing it into the sewer system. This will save property and inconvenience in basements and help us avoid putting untreated water from heavy rains into Lake Michigan. Again, we are looking for ways to help homeowners and businesses. Again, please call my office for information. In acting on the Chicago Water Agenda, we realize not everyone in this room has water conservation on the front burner. So we are finding new ways to advance your other interests through the water agenda. We are finding partners who can realize an array of benefits that will go well beyond conservation of water. Communities operate on many levels, and so does the Chicago Water Agenda. We're working with the schools, including the Chicago Public Schools and local universities, to develop curricula for the water agenda. We have launched an important and very promising partnership with the Peggy Notebart Nature Museum here in Lincoln Park. This forward-looking institution is installing rooftop gardens and new exhibits and establishing itself as a premier environmental museum in the United States. Our collaboration with the Notebart Museum provides a real model for civic partnership. It serves everyone well, especially the citizens of Chicago. Let me say a word about metering. The Chicago Water Agenda calls for the development of a plan for universal water metering in the city of Chicago. While many may hear concerns about higher water bills, the fact is many bills may actually go down depending on water use and the size of your household. We hear references of the tradition of non-metered homes, but Chicago remains the last city without universal metering. The goal here is to get people to think about the water they use. Chicago water will still be inexpensive and plentiful. but we have to stop wasting water, and meters will prompt lots of people to be more careful. Metering has to be on the agenda. It's just that simple. The water agenda is put forth seriously, and I couldn't stand here and look you in the eye and say that this issue can't be addressed. And now, I have an invitation for you. The Chicago Water Agenda, Public Policy Choices and Collective Action. But it also requires imagination, initiative, and commitment on the level of individual people and the businesses they run. Whether you live in the suburbs or the city, I hope you will contact my office again and become part of the water agenda. We are ready to help you design rooftop gardens with your employees, to bring the agenda to your schools and community groups, to work with suburbs, to help you save money in your business, to help you realize the genuine opportunities of corporate good citizenship. I hope you will call my office and ask for more information. We promise you, you will be glad you did. We will work with you on an individual basis, and we promise to act on the understanding that for the water agenda to become your agenda, we must understand and respond to your values. The Chicago Water Agenda is not just about water. It's about who we are as a community and what Chicago is to the area, the region, and to the future generations. Please join us in serving our present needs and the demands of the future. With that, let me conclude with my thanks to all of you for inviting me here to speak. It's been a great pleasure, and I hope a promising start. Thank you very much.
Lawrence Spivak is there already. That's for your aging baby boomers. Those of you who don't know who Lawrence Spivak is, I really don't care. Joyce Saxon, first question.
Commissioner, practically every week.
Joyce, have to step back.
Okay, better, Paul?
That's better.
Commissioner, practically every week, there were news reports of beaches, particularly out south, being closed because of E. coli. Is there anything you can do to make it better next summer?
Well, these have been obviously very discouraging reports this past summer and I believe the summer before. We're not quite sure. We've been looking at a lot of different things over the years. Even the former sewer department was involved before they became part of our department with looking at outfalls and such to make sure that the outfalls into Lake Michigan are not don't exist anymore. From the combined sewer system. There have been some repairs made over the past few years. There are some theories out there about everything from the birds flying to the fact that the lake levels are down and the beaches are more exposed. We're not quite sure, but everyone who needs to be looking at that issue is looking at it. And the other thing too is some people also believe that the testing procedures that are in place are probably more accurate than they were in the past. That may have something to do with it as well. But we're constantly striving to make sure that the beaches are clean. And one of the things, obviously, that Mayor Daley has talked about before, and everybody in this room has heard, is that during the major rain events, when we actually have to open the locks and let the effluent run back into Lake Michigan, obviously, immediately we have to close the beaches. But the mayor has been very steadfast in his determination to try to stop that trend from happening. And the answer to that is kind of comprehensive. I mean, we've got what we call our TARP system, our underground tunnel system for water and wastewater. We've got the Water Reclamation District is involved in a large project, obviously, that hopefully someday soon the locks don't have to be open during these storm events, and the effluent doesn't have to go back into the lake. But there are some major projects that have to be done in order for that to stop happening.
Commissioner Joel Cohen, we're so blessed here to have Chicago water, and certainly you're doing a wonderful job to keep it that way.
Thank you.
My question is somewhat theoretical. Would it be feasible for those areas of the United States, such as the Southwest, that are not as blessed, to ever get Chicago water to that area other than by the gallon?
You're asking if Chicago water could be taken to the Southwest, is that?
In some manner.
Well, let me just start by saying, I hope not, but
Unless the price is right.
the other thing too is we're also governed by a water allocation. We can only take so much water out of Lake Michigan, and because of that water allocation, some of the water is removed from Lake Michigan with the reversal of the Chicago River, as you know. Some of the water is taken, obviously, for drinking water. So with those allocations, and with the fact that we're also, all the Great Lakes are watching us, all the Great Lakes states are watching us to make sure that we don't exceed our allocations, I doubt very much that we would be able to send water elsewhere.
Mr. Commissioner, my name is Andrew Hyman of PricewaterhouseCoopers. I want to compliment you on really moving towards universal metering. I think that's really the best way to encourage conservation. And I have two questions. In terms of moving toward this more green agenda, is there any effort to perhaps produce taxes, sewer taxes that are based on potential runoff contributions of properties as a way of encouraging more green development, which might increase detention times and reduce the peak flows into the sewers? And also, in terms of, I know one of the goals is always to keep Chicago competitive, is there any interest in offering industrial users perhaps different qualities of water for a large user, for example, because they may not need perfectly purified water for their industrial applications, or they might need a different product that pre-treated in a different way as a way of enhancing the competitive nature of Chicago via its tremendous water resources. Thank you.
Okay, you have two questions. The first question was, are we considering a tax?
No, could we revise our property tax system to encourage city sustainable development, maybe by taxing properties based on their runoff coefficients into the sewer system?
That's an interesting question. We actually have looked at some forms of that, not necessarily a new development, but looking at such areas as large surfaces where, like parking lots and those kinds of locations where there could be some kind of rate, because of the large amount of water entering the system. We were kind of looking at some of those areas, but not as comprehensive as you're asking. And the other question you had was,
B-grade water.
Offering
Yeah.
different water qualities.
yeah,
to
I mean
industrial users.
that's something that is being done in some other areas, obviously, out on the West Coast. It requires a lot of different things to happen, and unfortunately, in our region, one of the things that has to happen is we actually have to build large reservoirs to take that water. In California, there are systems that are set up in place where actually that water is returned to a large reservoir and pumped out when needed for certain occasions. Using it for, flushing toilets and things like that. We're not that far here, obviously, and the infrastructure costs associated with that have to really be developed, and it's sort of in its infancy. But it is a concept that is being used out, especially around San Diego area in Southern California. But we are beginning to start looking at those concepts. Perhaps maybe in the past we've been so lucky with our low water rates that we haven't looked at them, but obviously out west the situation was a little more desperate, so they probably have a little more, they're a little bit more advanced in that area.
Any more questions for the commissioner? Okay, how about a big round of applause? Commissioner, here is a wonderful City Club mug that should be use A-grade water. We should not use B-grade water on that because it's very valuable. A 1-year membership to the City Club of Chicago, and you just can't come here every year and get your free membership. You know, when this is out, you got to pay up. I mean, no disrespect. And big round of applause. Great job.